Recently, I finally sat down and watched Disney's Wish. Before I watched it, I wondered why it was a flop. Then I watched it. Before I tell you why I think it was bad, a message from me. So a few years ago, I did a thing. I wrote a novel titled The Fairy Princess Enter into Time. You can see the fairy princess here on my t-shirt. The book is about a young girl from the south side of Chicago who discovers she's a fairy princess. Her godmother is kidnapped and she must learn how to use her powers while trying to save her. The book is available on Amazon and Rakuten Kobo. T-shirts and other merch are available on my website, thefairyprincess.net. Links are in the description. So Wish is about a kingdom with a sorcerer for a king who may or may not grant the wishes of every person in the kingdom. Everyone loves him, everyone wants to work with him. The whole kingdom revolves around these wishes. The first thought that came to mind while watching this was because since this film was supposed to celebrate Disney's centennial, someone from Disney went to a writer and said, you know the opening of every Disney animation that shows a shooting star going over the castle while playing the melody, When You Wish Upon a Star? Yeah, make a movie out of that. The plot of this movie felt unfinished. I mean, this movie was all surface level and wasn't deep at all. So at 18 years old, you give your wish to the king, and as soon as you give it, you forget it? That just sounds shady. Why did no one question it before? Also, it took a while for me to understand this part of the movie because it was mentioned in passing during an exposition dump song. It wasn't highlighted or stated very clearly, so it wasn't until later in the movie that I understood that was what was happening. Everything revolved around this one wish being granted. The main character's want was to get her grandfather's wish granted for his 99th or 100th birthday. I can't remember which it is. So, of course, she does something superficial, which ruins his chances and paints the king as a villain. I don't know, the plot was very thin and it just wasn't enough to grab me or make me care. That was the main thing with this movie. I just didn't care. Like, oh my God, would the king grant me a wish? That was all the stakes this movie held. Dude, I could care less. Then there was the evil king. He wasn't born a sorcerer. He became one after something vaguely evil happened to his family. I kept expecting them to go deeper into what happened to him when he was younger that might explain why he was evil now, but that never happened. Also, he got his power so that nothing that evil would ever happen again. But then he goes to an island and starts a kingdom where he grants everyone's wish. What does one thing have to do with the other? He started the kingdom and then people moved there to get their wishes granted. It would make more sense if he got his powers, then moved to a kingdom where people were in dire need, then helped them out, thus becoming their king. But no. He had good intentions one day until he didn't. But they never explained when that happened. When did he become evil? Why did he become evil? When he refused to grant the main character's grandfather's wish, he said it was because it was too vague and that made it dangerous. I guess it was vague like this story. But here, having a story that connects to what happened to him when he was younger, or even a story about when he granted a vague wish and it went wrong, would go a long way to explaining his motivation. Instead, all we get was that he was a good and benevolent king who somehow one day became evil. He had a wife who loved him and didn't see that he was evil until he was over the top evil. Like a real wife would have peeped that change when it happened. Now, normally, I love musicals, but the songs in Wish wasn't good. It just felt like, okay, they're singing again. The songs didn't emotionally move me, probably because the premise was so thin, the songs couldn't be that deep. Like, think of the songs in any of the Toy Story movies. Those were good songs that fit in the movie and made you feel a certain way about the character. I can't even remember half the songs that were sung in Wish. The one song I do remember wasn't earned at all. It was a big ensemble piece with everyone teaming up to go up against the king, singing What I Know Now. At this point, most of the people in the song had not seen the king do evil things, just the main character and his wife. So what was everyone else singing about? There was no real stakes in this movie until the king started using an evil spell book, then using other people's wishes to give him more power, which in turn turned those people into zombies. Had it happened earlier in the film, or had it been known that it was his ambition to do this, then his being evil would have made sense. No, he just did it because he was mad that somebody else had magic and he wanted to catch them. That was something that could have been stressed earlier. No one else was allowed to do magic, but we needed to know why. Even if it was just that he was conceited and he wanted all the magic for himself. The audience needed to be told that and why. Was it connected to what happened to him when he was younger? Like, there are so many loose ends in this script. Going back to Toy Story 2, we find out that Prospector is the villain because he was afraid of being abandoned by children again. He wasn't just evil for evil's sake. He had a proper motivation, and he used that motivation to get Jessie on his side because she had that same fear. Also in Wish, there was a character that was one of the main character's friends that I couldn't stand. I think they were trying to make him a red herring. Like, he could have been the traitor because all he did was criticize the main character and talk bad about her family. You get the feeling they wanted him to be like Mr. Potato Head. He was very negative and always second-guessing Woody, but when it counted, he was there to support him. But the difference between this character on Wish and Mr. Potato Head was Mr. Potato Head was better established. I mean, they took time with the character. He was able to get his jabs in, but he wasn't always negative. The character in Wish, every time he opened his mouth, something negative came out. You really wondered, why would anyone be his friend? Whereas with Mr. Potato Head, his relationship with the other toys felt stronger and like something that had grown over time. When he was negative, they just ignored him and rolled their eyes. So, thin premise, no stakes, no connections to the characters, and no good songs. Yeah, Wish could have done with some more development. I mean, the name of the movie just put in my mind, the Wish app. And that's what we got, something you could have ordered off of Wish. So, what did you think of Wish? Did you have as many complaints as I did? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know the next time I upload or go live.